I have gotten a lot of hate for the show. There are some people that are a little salty and frustrated, and they were scared. They chose not to do it, and it cost them. I want to shine a light on some situations here.
What's up, everyone? It's Ava and Ivy. Welcome back to another podcast episode. We are officially halfway through Beast Game Season 2. So crazy that we're already at this point. And we have Ian, the $1.8 million island winner, on with us today to talk about Episode 5 and his overall experience on Beast Games. Say hi, Ian.
What up, guys? I appreciate you having me.
Thanks for coming. We're so excited to talk to you, break down the episodes and everything. We're especially excited to talk about Episode 5 as it just came out. But before we get into that, do you want to give the audience a little bit of a history on your background and maybe some things Beast Games didn't highlight?
Sure. Yeah. So my name's Ian. I live in Utah, and I've been competing and training American Ninja Warrior for 9 years. I have my own ninja gym. And so I continue to coach, develop, and train the next generation, I guess, including my wife and kids. So but I mean, you can see I have a whole bunch of Hot Wheels here. So the show didn't talk about it, but I'm a Hot Wheels collector and customizer. And so I've done national competitions. And so that's awesome. I mean, who doesn't love Hot Wheels, right?
Right.
Yeah, and I guess that's it aside from what they covered.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm just curious, how did you hear about Beast Games?
I watched season 1 with the family, and we loved it, ate it up, and I was like, man, that'd be so cool to do, right? And then I think it must have been like an Instagram pop-up or ad or something, hey, casting for season 2. And, going into it, I was a little hesitant just due to the nature of how much luck was involved in season 1. How much chance, I didn't want to be eliminated. I don't like competitions where I'm eliminated or I'm taken out due to chance. I'm very competitive. I like to have, my fate in my hands. And, I have trained very hard. So, if I don't even get to showcase my training and I'm eliminated over something stupid, that would drive me crazy. So, but I did it anyways. I was like, well, we'll give it a shot, got cast. And the whole time I'm thinking there's going to be moments of, chance, and then get on the show. And to my surprise, that's not the case. It's skill based, and they took out all the luck and chance. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is my game, So it was the best of both worlds, both strategic and alliances, and then, physicality.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Your gameplay throughout the season, honestly, definitely one of the main ones to highlight, or main ones that they highlighted throughout the series so far. You had a lot of strategic moves, and whether, you're perceived as a quote unquote villain or just a good game player, I think you made a lot of moves that were best for your own game. And so I think a lot of people will appreciate that because, as you mentioned in season 1, you didn't really get to see a lot of gameplay and strategy from the players as much just because of the amount of people there and stuff like that. But yeah, respect for your gameplay that you had throughout this season for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate it. They did showcase that a lot. And I think I was playing, I don't know if you want to say harder than anyone else. I think I was just playing a different game. We are all Survivor fans. And growing up, I watched Survivor. I love Survivor, alliances and gameplay and everything. And so going out there, the first week or so, I'm like, I'm going to try and talk to as many people as I can. And I want them to know me. I want them to know Ian. So that if you're standing on the platforms and you have to look down to your left and look down to your right, and you happen to see Ian in your line, and it's take $100,000 bribe, but you take out everyone in that line and you see Ian, I want you to think twice. I want you to think, I like Ian. Ian's got a family. I don't want to take that guy out. And then when I realized that there's not chance involved, that it's a skill-based game, I turned those conversations into, hey, maybe we can work together. Maybe there's an opportunity where, like on the obstacle course, where I can fight for you. Or maybe it's going to be a situation where you're hanging on a pole and I might say, hey, just drop. And you do it for some reason. Those are all based off of conversations that had been happening for weeks, where I was getting to know people. And hindsight, some people are regretting decisions, after, because it affected gameplay, when, in my mind, I'm like, well, I played a great game, and it wasn't just physical, or it wasn't just I'm in the city for 3 weeks doing nothing, hanging out. I'm in the city for 3 weeks playing a game, all 3 weeks, connecting, building genuine relationships. I love everybody on the game. There are some people that are a little salty and frustrated, and that's okay. I was playing a game and so were you. And the game is Beast Games. It's one big game. And, there were side quests and things like that. But yeah, sorry, I'm kind of rambling, but it was a big, crazy game. And so as a viewer, you start watching season 2 and you're expecting season 1. But the game's been elevated. The game we have launched it into the future, 5 seasons. If you think about early Survivor, it was a little boring. It was a little vanilla. There wasn't like the backstabbing or the gameplay or the idols. There was no hidden immunity idols. There was none of that stuff. And then once there were, man, we love it. Think about this. Had I done any of my moves that I did on Survivor, would anyone be calling me a villain? No, it was an alliance. And you know what? You chose that alliance or that alliance, and at the end of the day, I was true to my people. And, I feel good with all my decisions. And those that are salty, you need to go watch some more television and see what salty actually is.
That's what we won't go too deep into this because we talked about this with Sue and Jesse too, like talking about the difference of Survivor and Beast Games and going off what you just said. Betrayal is praised in Survivor, whereas in Beast Games, I guess it's not. And it's like, why is that? And I think it's just because Beast Games is a newer show. And like, as you said in season 1, it was mostly luck. So it's like people have to like you. You don't want to be betraying anyone. So you went into the game having the Survivor mindset, which in a sense worked out for you because you literally got to be on Survivor. So that's actually crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, insane.
And it's really cool to hear, like, I didn't even think about the fact that, like, you guys went in expecting season 1 and you had to change your strategy when you realized, oh, this isn't just luck. It's not just chance. So that's really cool to hear about, like, having to change, like, right in the middle of the game, not even having an idea beforehand.
I kind of kept my guard up, anticipating, especially the first probably 2 weeks. I was like, there's going to be something where it's chance, and it just never happened. And then, in between shoots at one point, Jimmy's like, you guys said you wanted me to take out luck. You wanted skill base. So here you go. You have a game for skill base. And I was like, so it's all skill base. Okay. This is exactly what I wanted. So on whether anyone understands or not, and maybe the casting people did understand when they were casting, like this was the show for me now, because Ninja Warrior is great. It's just me against the course. And I actually haven't had a chance at me against the course one-on-one since 2017. Similar to Beast Games, I had side quests where I was on the couples championship. It's its own thing. I had the family championship. That was its own thing, not just the regular show. So since 2017, I haven't been able to, go just do me against the course. Point is, there's 2 sides to Ian. There's physicality, and then there's, for work for years, I was in a management and leadership position for a long time. And so I know how to hire, how to teach, how to coach, how to train, how to inspire. How do you get these young 20-year-olds to work, to show up to work, to, try to do their job, right? And it's through, mentorship and developing them and building them up. And you can do this and training them how to do it. And that takes relationships. That takes, genuine one-on-one relationships. And so, being able to use that in the game and be able to talk to people. And again, I'll say it again, like every conversation that I had with every person in the city was real. It was genuine. I was talking about Ian. I was talking about my life. But that's not a skill set that as many people have nowadays, where you can just go open up to a complete stranger and talk about your life and ask about their life and get to know them. So it was a perfect game for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know we definitely experienced that. Like, it's such a human game. I feel like Beast Games, when you're like, you don't have your phone, you don't have access to the outside world, like you just have the people around you who, like you said, are strangers. So that's really cool that this game was literally built for you in a way. Transitioning into more episode-specific questions about your gameplay. So let's start off with episode 1. What was your reaction when you saw that the OGs were coming back into the game?
I was pissed. Yeah, I was not happy at all. Sitting in that big white room, 10 guards come in with money. And in my mind, I'm like, booyah. I'm going from 100 down to 90. That's exactly what I want. Let's get some of these people out of here. I was hyped because I was not going to take the bribe. And then sure enough, they take off the mask and they're like, but they're replacing whoever takes it. So in my mind, I'm like, you are taking a weaker player, someone who is willing to take a bribe. And I mean weak as far as it could be weak mentally, it could be weak physically, whatever the factor is, you're not in it for the long haul because you're willing to take $100,000. In my mind, you're not a threat. You're not a threat to me, right? And so you're willing to take a bribe, and then you bring in someone that's hungry, someone that's experienced, someone that wants redemption. Like, that's not something to play with. You kind of had players around that maybe didn't grasp it, or grasp the magnitude of the game. They were maybe a little starstruck. Um, I'm competing for $5 million for my family. Bottom line. So no, I don't want you back in the game, right? And I was pretty vocal about it with those around me. I'm like, hey, enemy number one, and a lot of the a lot of the strong people had the same mindset, and they are competitors, and they understood what I understood. And so we're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's get them out. Let's rally together. And then, you end up fast forwarding, and I'm super hyped to have met, Jeff and even JC. And, although relationships with JC and Jeff in the city initially weren't great, the more time I spent with them, the more I loved them. And then I'm like, man, like, this is why it was like a realization. This is why I didn't want them in the game, because I do like them. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. So it's interesting to see how your mindset did change on the OGs over time. I wonder if it would have been different if more OGs stayed for a longer period of time. Because I just wonder if they would have tried to stay in an alliance like within just the OGs or expand across everyone, and then everyone loves them all of a sudden. So that is really interesting to hear. And I was
yeah.
also wondering, like, since you had the mindset of you don't want them in the game, deciding to you did balance, right? In episode
Yeah.
2. Did like seeing where the OGs went have any influence on how you chose, or how did you choose balance?
No, I was playing my own game, and I initially thought, okay, well, you'll probably have 2 smart challenges, 2 strong challenges. So balls, strong, balance, probably like I was thinking like a Frogger game across the
Mm.
floor, or some kind of balance obstacle course across the floor, or can you stand on one foot, or something, because the other 2, you had bluff and you had blocks, and those are smart games. And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, I train balance twice a week at my ninja gym. That's a no-brainer. Let's go do balance. I wasn't focused on anyone else or wherever anyone else went. I knew a lot of my alliance a lot of the boys went to balls, a lot of the strong people. So that probably would have been my second choice.
When it came to actually doing the balance challenge, did you have any strategy? Do you feel like there is a strategy to that game, or do you think it's almost like chance?
Yes, I think there was strategy. I picked up the heart and I hold it, and people are like, 15 pounds, 12 to 15 pounds. And I was like, this is like 30, 45 pounds. Right. And I said that because I knew that Nay was listening. And so again, more strategy. So I'm trying to think or help her think it's heavier. The rocks, you had essentially 3 sizes. I kind of picked out 3. You had small, medium, large. How many small rocks would be in a medium? How many medium would be in a large? When she's grabbing a medium, what was it adding up to, and the total number going over to the heart. There was also strategy on where you place the block, or place the rock, excuse me. You have the platform, and Nay was setting it in the very middle of the platform, and I was setting it on the edge of the platform, so it was closer to the center, right? So if you have a teeter, if it's here, it's going to be lighter than if it's here, right? So, every time I went up, I would take them and I would move them all the way back over, and then I would add my rock. And then when she'd go, she'd move them all back to the middle and add 1 rock. And I don't know why she kept doing that, but I'm like, I'm not going to leave it in the middle and place another rock, because then it's heavier. So there was strategy. There was luck to it. It's a balance game, and a lot of people, just kind of went at it willy nilly. And I was trying to be as strategic as I could with it.
Yeah, I would have just thought it was not a game like that. But I feel like the longer it went on, I don't remember how long it took for yours to fall, but
27 rounds,
oh my
Oh, wow.
gosh. So how long were you in it for?
4 hours.
Oh my
Oh
gosh, that's
my
actually
gosh.
crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, and the first one
Dang.
dropped at round 6. So in my mind, I'm like, "What's 6?"
Whoa.
Like, so from 6 to 27, every time I was like, "This could be it. This is it."
Yeah, oh my
Stress, and
gosh.
like I'm like shaking, and you had to like pull it out and the show the cameras that you took the pin out and put it back in. And so every time I'm doing it quick, I'm like, "It's out, slide it back in." So
Dang.
yeah, it was a
Yeah,
crazy one. That was stressful.
I would not
That
have
was crazy.
thought it would take like 4 hours.
I was the very last one.
You were? Dang.
Yeah.
Dang, that's crazy. So you have a
That
lot
is
of plot armor already. And then we go into episode 3. And
Right.
obviously, you had your big moments in episode 3. I do want to start off with talking about like choosing teams and how did you choose your team? And was there drama that maybe we didn't see?
No, yeah, you guys saw the drama. Yeah. So Jimmy's standing up on the money. He goes, okay, teams of 5, and you need a smart person on your team. Go. Or two smart people. And
Hmm.
it was bananas. It doesn't even it didn't capture how crazy it was, and everyone was running around. And before you know it, like I'm alone. I don't know what happened to Tyler. I don't know what happened to Briley. I'm like, why are they not by me? I ended up finding Briley, and I was like, where's Tyler? And we need some smart people. I turn around, there's Enam and Omar, and I had a conversation with Enam, and he's like, Ian, let me be on your team. And you know, I thought about it, and choices were dwindling down, and I knew he was close to Omar. And one of the stipulations I had, if you were going to be on my team, I didn't want you to take a bribe. Bribe towers were there looming for a long time. We figured we're getting to the point where at some point, whatever team you choose will have a bribe opportunity. And I was like, okay, well, I trust Enam. I don't know Omar, but he trusts Omar. Okay, boys, come on over. And then me and Bradley are talking because we need one more person. And I'm like, well, we got to go pull somebody. We got to go recruit somebody back onto our team. And so that's when I'm like, well, I don't know why Ty is not with us because he's been with us since day one. So I run over, Ty, come over. I give him my pitch. He has to leave Eric and Vance, which I feel was a smart choice. And I understand why they would be upset, but Ty was my guy. Like I was closer to Ty than I was to anybody else. So in my mind, I'm like, well, he's just choosing his alliance, like over someone that's maybe he's not as close with. So yeah, it was crazy though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like really tense to watch. And
Yeah,
I
no,
feel like
definitely.
there's so much that we just like obviously didn't see in the episode too. But yeah, I feel like I would have been panicking a little bit,
Yeah, I mean,
figuring that no
there's
one
a lot
would
of
pick
behind the
me.
scenes stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. There's, Eric and Ty had a lot of time spent together. They bunked near each other. Eric was actually sick for about a week or so, or maybe 3-4 days, and so he wasn't as close to other people as he was Ty because he was kind of taken out of the game a little bit. So there's a lot of factors. It's hard to throw in a 40-minute, TV show. But yeah, I feel like they did a pretty good job capturing, if nothing else, like the drama pieces. We can jump ahead to now we're on the obstacle course, and we have to choose: are we just going to sprint down it, or are we going to use the sticks in battle? And what was interesting is that the other team was talking a lot of smack. They were poking us hard. And then Jimmy says, hey, great news. You get sticks. You can fight each other. And then they shut up. And then they got worried. And then they say, hey, we're going to play an honorable game. You should do the same. And that's when you hear, Ty's infamous line, I'll take it under consideration. I've considered it. The answer is no. We're going to battle you. Be ready. And Enam and Omar, they essentially said, well, hey, the only chance we have of getting across is if you guys take the sticks and go fight for us. So will you do that? And we're like, yeah, we got you. But it was misunderstood by the audience because they didn't understand all the rules. And all they understood was, or all they saw was that team doing the obstacle course without the stick. And we have the stick. And now we are pushing them off. Well, they could have brought their stick. Why didn't they? Right? Vance could have brought the stick and waited for me and battled me, but chose not to. So, which I wouldn't have chose me either. I wouldn't have battled me either. Yeah, it doesn't look great. I pushed Mike in. He has the illegal move that kind of, put me in a headlock, and he touched me, which you weren't allowed to touch anybody with the hands, just a stick. And it really sucks that Enam and Omar didn't make it through because I was fighting to get him across.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear, like, from your mindset and everything, because obviously in the show, it kind of looks like, he's pleading to stay up there, then you push him off. But that's cool to hear about, like, your perspective on that and, like, wanting to protect your team overall, which is just a
Yeah.
difference of, like, some people's perception of pushing him off versus you both making it through. So that's really interesting to hear.
And Mike was the one that said like, "Oh, I want your beard as a trophy," right?
Yeah, he said a lot of things. He had a loud mouth about my beard, and in addition, Vance was kind of like, "Oh, well, I'm a 2-time Ninja Warrior. He's not," and that's why I'm like, "Well, you've never gone against me. I started competing in 2017, and I haven't had another chance." Vance started competing, I think maybe 3 years after me, and he's had a chance every year. The show kind of gets favorites. Vance was a favorite, so he was cast every year. So, yeah, it is all interesting. I'll tell you, it's interesting that people at home aren't watching the show and they understand rules of the game, right? The cube rules, right? What are the cube rules? One rule: someone's got a handcuff, everyone else is free. That's it, right? The rules on the Survivor Challenge, right? What's the rule, Ian? Well, it's whoever lasts longest on the pole. What's the rule on the balance with the heart? Well, whoever drops first. So I think you might have heard me in the balance game. I say to Nay, I'm like, hey, grab that big rock right there and toss that one on there, right? That was a strategy move. That was me saying, hey, like, just throw in the towel. Did she do it? No. Respect to her. She had, the mental fortitude to withstand, but it's part of the game, right? So the balance, going back to that, it's part of the game to bring the stick. People are pissed at me about it. Just why? It's the part of the game. They said, here are your sticks. Jimmy wants you to use a stick. They were scared. They chose not to do it, and it cost them. I don't know.
Right.
Makes sense to
100%.
me.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we see you, or I guess we still need to talk about the captain bribe. Any notes from that, honestly? I was just going to go into the Survivor episode because I'm really excited to talk to you about it. But any notes from the captain bribe? Like, who did you think was going to take it before JT took it, obviously?
Yeah, I knew JT was going to take it. And JT and I were not tight, but he's there for his family. I respect him taking the million for his family. I think although we are playing a different game, you can respect game, right? So game v game. Hey, JT, I respect your game. He had a lot to say about me when I was on the obstacle course, and him and I had words that night, and I stood up for myself, and he at that point was respectful, saying, okay, I hear you. I don't know. It's interesting to me. I have gotten a lot of hate for the show from, the balance to, even calling out Jeremy, which again, we're just having fun. Jeremy's a great sport. I'm like, come on, brother, beard v beard, let's go. And he's like, no, I don't want to do it. And I'm like, I wouldn't want to pick me either. Right. And, he's a good sport and understands the game and whatnot. There's difference in that versus like attacking people. I don't want to say necessarily personally, but like, I don't know. He's kind of nasty about it. So we've since talked and we're good, but I didn't appreciate it during the game. And I was playing a game, and maybe his game was to be vocally, more negative towards people. And that wasn't me. Well, that wasn't my game. So yeah, I was not surprised at all that he took it. And I knew 100% Tyler was not going to take it.
So you weren't nervous at all when the money was counting up?
Nope.
Dang.
Wasn't at all. I knew it wasn't. I knew he wasn't. Like we had talked for 2 weeks about it. I knew why he was there. He was there for his sport, for a strongman to, represent something bigger. And I was not worried.
It's good that you found someone like that you could trust 100%, because it's hard in a game like this because you really don't know how money can change people. So I don't know. I feel like that's a rare find.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, when you pull away the phones and everything else, I mean, you have 100 of the world's strongest people in the world, but there was only like 6 of us that worked out every day. Like barely anyone was hitting the gym. So we had a lot of time in the gym together. It was me and Ty. I worked out every day with him, and, just spending time together, talking about families, talking about hobbies, talking about everything. And same with Briley. So it could have been either one of them up there, and I was good.
So would you have taken the bribe if you were up there?
No. I think you guys can see that I'm a competitor, and I was there for the end. I was there to get to the very end. I was there to win the prize. And, the $100,000 bribe, I did not take that. And so I think, I'd kind of built up some credibility with being a competitor, not taking bribes. I'm here for the long haul. The only reason why I didn't go up, because we pretty much left it up to the team. We're like, well, me or Tyler or Briley, but Briley's like, no, we're good. We'll choose between you two. And I was like, I really don't care. You can choose me. You can choose Tyler. We're trying to build some rapport with Ethan and Vance. So whoever you guys feel more comfortable with will go up. Like, we don't care. We're not going anywhere. It doesn't matter who you pick. But if you can have a say in this. And I guess Tyler and Ethan had a conversation the day before playing chess. And Ethan and I, to that point, hadn't really talked much. And so he's like, well, I'll choose Tyler because we played chess together. And he's like, yeah, I won't take it. So yeah, we were good.
Okay, yeah. So now I guess moving into the Survivor episode. First we saw the Cannonball search, which did you get the Starbucks Cannonball?
Yep.
Am I wrong about that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So did you just go up? You literally just went up and asked, like, do you have a Cannonball? How did that play out? That's it?
Yeah, I kind of searched around, and part of being on the show is being aware of your surroundings. So when they're like, well, we thought there might be a golden ticket or something. Again, I'm playing out things that happened in the first season, when and how it's going to play out in second season. And so I had thought about, okay, in the Feastables Cafe, in Starbucks, in the library, and actually I called a handful of them so I was number 2, and I'm sitting there and Tyler's walking by. I'm like, Tyler, check the cold plunge. He goes over to the cold plunge, sure enough, pulls out one. And so, yeah, just Starbucks made sense. They're trying to advertise Starbucks. The guard was standing there with the mask, and I'm like, yo, you got my Cannonball? And he handed it to me, or she, I don't know. And,
Wow.
That's awesome. Yeah, and number 2, that was probably nice. Because I heard Sue said it took like almost an hour for everyone to find them, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you can see it at the very end, those that didn't make it, and they're like dripping sweat. It's because they'd been running around. And it is hot out there. It is so hot. It was like 100 degrees, muggy.
Oh my gosh.
And I hated being in that outfit out there during the day. And you had one pair of shorts, so I'm wearing them to the gym, and then what am I wearing the rest of the time? I'm wearing pants, and it's 100 degrees, and it was, it's terrible.
Yeah,
that's why in the cubes, I'm like, yo, get me some shorts because your boy's cooking over here.
Oh my gosh, wait, yeah, I didn't even think about that because our cubes, it's funny, I won't go too much into it, but when we did cubes, it was inside, but like the front half had air conditioning and the back half didn't. So some people were like sweating, like really uncomfortable, and then the other half were just like, what are you talking about? Like, we were fine. But yeah, I didn't think about the cubes being outside this season. And when we were on set, there was a lot of rain when we were there, and it was just so humid, and the humidity alone just makes it like annoying because you just feel so sticky. But yeah, that's a sucky aspect when you only have one pair of shorts. But okay, now going into the Survivor crossover episode, we know you're a big Survivor fan. How did it feel when you pulled up and you realized like you're on the Survivor Island with Jeff Probst?
Yeah, shocked. And there's that video where I'm like, Jeff? Like, I'm like, is this real? Jeff's here? Like, and we knew he was shooting Survivor 50. I mean, any Survivor fan knew Survivor 50 was being shot at that time and didn't even put 2 and 2 together. If anything, I was excited to tell my family, hey, I was in Fiji when they were shooting Survivor 50, let alone, stepping on the beach with Jeff. So crazy experience. I hop off the boat right behind Sue. Sue, of course, big hug, big welcoming. I get the quickest introduction. I'm like, hey, it's nice to meet you. My family's they're not gonna believe this. Oh my gosh, we love you. And then he was on to the next. And you see me, I'm like in the background. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm here. Just like soaking it in. And then he turns he walks us down the beach. We turn the corner, and it's literally a Survivor challenge. I mean, I got goosebumps right now thinking about it. It was the craziest feeling I've ever had because I have submitted, I don't know, 6 times. Like every season we watch Australian Survivor, and I've watched some of the other ones too, but some of them, the other countries are hard to understand. But anyways, out of body experience, and there was 200 employees there with cameras, like just like watching mic people, and that was overwhelming, like a wall of people. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. So, I guess I could keep going. Then we're talking about the captains for the challenge, and I step forward, and I'm not stepping back. I'm just not gonna do it. You see Jeff steps forward, and then he's like, oh, okay, Sue, you can do it. And then Nick steps forward, and he's like, oh, okay, Sue, you can do it. And I'm like, I'm not stepping back. So Sue, it's you and me, girl, and I know that we'd had some really good conversations. I knew that she wanted to play with me too. I would have loved to play with Sue, but I loved playing against Sue. She's a competitor too. So I tried to build a strong team, especially alliance-wise and friendship-wise, people I knew I could count on. And I had seen all those challenges we all had. And I'm like, it doesn't take that much smarts to be able to figure out if pictures are the same. It doesn't take that much smarts to throw the little basketball up or toss the coconuts. Anybody that was there, I feel, had a pretty equal footing in the challenges. Who could do it fastest. And I did figure it would come down to the puzzle at the end. That's why I chose Ethan second. I chose Ethan over my alliance. I chose Ethan over August and Nick, which I feel says something,
Yeah, 100%. I can only imagine how surreal that all was, like being there and hearing Jeff's commentary. What was that like? You're hearing MrBeast and Jeff Probst now talking about you competing.
Yeah, it was crazy, because I'd seen the show, so I was familiar with what he does, what he says, how he kind of berates you or praises you. So yeah, I'm on the table maze, and he comes over, and that was my opportunity. It was my one-on-one time with Jeff. I'm like, Jeff, you remember my video? He's like, no, I'm sorry, I get a lot of videos. I'm like, I see how it is, like, all right. And what was one of the craziest, like, best experiences on the island is I'm doing the table maze and I don't mess up once. I get through it without dropping it or it goes off the edge. And he goes, Ian, that's about the fastest I've ever seen anybody do that table maze. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was so great.
Wow.
You know, I take the key and run back. I was so excited. In fact, as I'm running back, I like giggle. I'm like, woohoo, you know, like it's just so cool. I'm here, you know. So crazy experience.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that's a good thing to hear from Jeff. I mean, he could have been saying something bad about your playing. So that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, it's true.
It reminds me of, I think it was Sophie B on the most recent season where she just zoomed through the table, right, Ivy?
Oh, yeah.
Was that Sophie B?
Yeah, Sophie B.
Yeah. And she was like
Yeah.
so taken
she
back.
behind?
Like, what did I just do? Yeah. She was like, way,
she was like way
behind.
behind.
Yeah.
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 That was crazy. But yeah, so that covers that first challenge. Ivy, yeah, do you want to take us into the Get a Grip challenge?
Yeah, let's talk about Get a Grip. And obviously, we see the most talked about moment, I think, of that episode. So one, how did you feel during the Get a Grip challenge?
I saw it as I approached Get a Grip, and I'm like, oh, I know this challenge. I know Ozzy's the king of it. I know, it's gonna hurt. I felt pretty good. I'm a ninja, but I'm a big boy, 210 pounds. Then you have Tyler and Nick, and they drop because they're big, and it's me against the two little guys. And what you don't see, so I have sand like all on my arms from the net, like we don't get it clean off. And again, I'm a big boy, so I'm sweating. It's hot. Fiji is hot, so I'm up there and I'm holding, and it's almost like sandpaper against the log, and it's slippery. And I was like, man, I'm not going to do as well at this as I thought I was. My toes were. So essentially I had 200 pounds on my toes, my big toe. That's it. Big toe. So yeah, I'm hanging. Jeff brings out the burger, and you can tell that I'm tired and hurting because I don't interact with Jeff. I don't have a witty comment. Usually I do something. And I'm like, no, I'm locked in. Jimmy brings out 50 grand and I turn and I'm pretty close to dropping, right? I see Ethan is comfortable. I can't really see JC. And again, this is Survivor. This is Beast Games. This is not just a challenge of who can hold on longer. Well, it is. The only rule is who can hold on longer. So if I can now convince you to drop, is that not part of the game? And why are people getting so bent on it? Say, oh my gosh, you told someone to drop and he dropped. Yeah, I told someone to drop and he dropped, right? Like if someone says, hey, would you jump off a bridge? Hey, go jump off a bridge. You're smart enough to say no. You know what I mean? There is an island on the line. He's on the smart team. He's one of the 100 smartest people in the entire world. And I say, hey, drop. And he does it. Cool. I'm in. So, I'm getting some heat for this, which is okay. I'm owning my move and I'm cool with it. But it's an interesting, and mind you, I'm not getting heat from Ethan. Ethan and I are good. I have talked to Ethan, but I want to shine a light on some situations here, especially now as we're going to talk about cubes, and tribal and everything. I'm jumping the gun, but had I not brought the sticks in the obstacle course, Ethan would not have gone through. If I didn't knock off the people ahead of him, he was slated, I think, in the 4th spot. He would not have gone through. Now, I'm not saying I brought him through because, mind you, if I was head to head with him, I would have knocked him off too. But had I not made that move, he would not come through. Had we not declined the bribe, I'm saying me and Tyler because Tyler was on my team. Had Tyler not taken the bribe, so my team not taken the bribe, he would be out. Had I not chosen him in the Survivor challenge in the first one to do the puzzle, then he would have been taken out. And what you don't really see is that the Survivor puzzle, he was really struggling. And I know Survivor, and I know what the puzzle was. I looked over at the flag, and I could see the logo. I knew it was the cat, right? And so had I not helped him with the puzzle, he would not have made it through. So I'm not taking credit for Ethan's game. What I'm trying to say is that it's all one game. It's all Beast Games, and you got $50,000, bud. And it was your decision to drop, and you dropped. So it is what it is,
Right. Yeah. It's like at the end of the day, it was his decision to drop. He didn't have to. And, obviously the internet's saying it was like a manipulation tactic, which in a sense it is. And manipulation is strategy in a game like this, especially in a Survivor setting too. So I think what you did would be expected in Survivor, so why can't it happen?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. How many times in Survivor have you seen someone at the end of a challenge say, hey, let me have this one? Mm-hmm. That's all I did. Right. Hey, drop. I got it.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and he
And
says,
that's
okay.
what Savannah did in 49 with
Yeah.
Siege multiple times, you know? It's like,
Yeah.
I'm not dropping. Well, you should.
Yep.
You know, so they do it all the time in
Yep.
Survivor. Ethan is getting a lot of heat just for like making that decision. You know, he's not even in like the villain position too. So I do feel bad from that aspect. And the fact that Jimmy was like, oh, I would have offered more money if no one took the 50K,
Yeah,
which I don't
that's
think it even
tough.
would have went on, like considering you were about to fall and JC too, like it wouldn't
Yep.
have went on long enough for him to even offer more anyway. But yeah, that just
Right.
sucks to hear from like Ethan's perspective in
Yeah.
that moment. So
Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
I'm sure there are things from season 1 that you guys regret. A
Yeah,
move that
we
you
like
wish you
to-
could have done differently.
Oh yeah. Right. Oh, absolutely. And that's another
Same
point.
thing.
Like, yeah, like another point is every move that any player makes in the game affects the entire game moving forward. So, like how you were listing off, like, oh, well, I picked him for this, or if I did this on the obstacle course, it would have been different. You know, like there's so many outcomes that could have happened, and this is just how it ended up playing out. So,
Yep.
yeah. But yeah, kind of talking about Final Tribal was a very tense situation with Jeff and JC specifically. Did you feel like you were 100% getting the island, or did you have thoughts of like, oh, this person would vote for JC?
You know, when I dropped and I looked over, I didn't. Again, I'm not playing a game to lose. I'm playing a game to win. So even if you would have put me up against Hannah or Katie or Sue, right? Like I would have still been expecting to win, and I would have still articulated like I was going to win. And my pitch at the end, you know, I was being honest, saying that I had seen myself there. You know, I knew what I would say in a situation like that. So yeah, with the Jeff and JC thing, I tried with my speech. I didn't want to attack JC, and I could have gone in. You've already got 650. This guy's got 650. Are you kidding me? Like he doesn't deserve it. Yada yada. I could have done that, but like that's not my game. I would rather speak to my accomplishments than speak to your downfalls, right? So, you know, I'm speaking about, you know, I went the distance in the balance, you know, the obstacle course. I carried my people through. I found the Cannonball second. I chose the winning Survivor team. Like I was the first or second one out of the hole in Las Vegas. My resume was pretty good, right? So I kept it positive about me. I was authentic and talking about my family and why I needed to be there. Yeah, I mean, it ended up well for me. The situation with those two, you know, they got their own history, and I didn't want to get into it, so I just sat there quietly and listened. To be honest with you, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna shut up and listen. Go ahead, you know.
So I'm wondering, obviously Sue hits the question of, would you self-eliminate for us, basically everyone on the island? When you made the promise saying that, was it true? Was it with intention that you would have self-eliminated for them?
100%. And I know where this is going, right? So yes, and if she would have said, okay, I will only give you my vote right now if you give me, you know, or if you quit as soon as you win, and I would have done it. I meant it in saying, hey, I can help you guys advance in the game. You guys know that. And I, at that point, understood I was not going to win Beast games anymore. So I ended up winning the island. It was an out-of-body experience, and I'm super proud and excited. I come back to the city, and I'm welcomed with turmoil. Everyone in the city except for Briley is against me, and it's because you had Vance. Vance did say, I'm on the record, Vance did say he would take bribes to multiple people in my alliance early on in the game. Now, whether he was joking or not, in my mind, would Vance have taken a bribe? I don't think so. But he said it, and he spooked his people. And so then it was, well, Ian, you and Vance are out. You guys are out. And I was like, we're out. Why? Well, he said he would take a bribe, and you're both the ninjas. You're together, ain't you? And I'm like, not if he's taking a bribe. He's out. And they're like, really? Would you take him out then? You would eliminate him? I'm like, sure. Put me in. Right. So Vance is bitter because he had been distanced from me. We were tight. He said he would take a bribe. And so then I started to distance myself because I don't want to go down in his sinking ship. And you kind of get some of this in the thing, you know, everyone's like, why is everyone like upset with Vance? Like they don't show it all. There's a lot of conversations that are going on. And that was a lot of the turmoil was, is Vance going to take a bribe? Okay. Then you have Ty, who's in the cube with Jack and Sue, Tyler. And Tyler and I had a disagreement early on. He thought I was trying to take him out. I wasn't. It was a misunderstanding. So he's against me. And then you have JT, who took the bribe. And I had gotten into I'd had some words with him after the balance. And so he doesn't like me. So you have 3 out of the 10 people that don't like me, and they're in everybody's ear for a whole week because they aren't doing anything. And all they're doing is negative. Let's be negative towards Ian, right? Ian's a gamer. People see it. People see me having conversations, and people are like, man, Ian is really kicking butt at this game, right? What does that mean? Ding, ding, ding. Oh, Ian's a threat. So they've finally caught on that I'm a threat. And so here's their chance to rally against me. When Ian gets back, we're going to take him out, right? And so I get back. They're all super negative about it, or towards me, which is fine. I'm like, whatever. Like, I got an island, and I'm not here for you guys anyways. I'm here for my family. But I did not know JC went scrambling as much as he did. He went to everybody and very negative towards me, which I get. I just beat you for an island. But if you beat me, I feel like I would have handled it differently. I might have gone and tried to rally people, but you had an opportunity to not necessarily stay island strong, but because we built relationships out there to build off of that. But instead, he decided to throw all those away and try to talk crap about us when we get back. So, Briley, JC got in Briley's ear. Briley comes to me and she's like, I don't think I can trust you anymore. And I was like, what are you even talking about? And she's like, I've been hearing things. I'm like, well, you know me, and I just want an island. So I'm here to help anybody that I can going forward. And I told her, listen, they asked if I would self-eliminate, and I said yes. And they asked if I would choose them over you, and I said yes. And she's like, okay. So then we get to cubes. Jimmy says, hey, handcuff yourself. Let's make it happen. What you don't see is that decision takes a little bit of time. It takes probably about 20 minutes or so. And I'm standing there and no one's coming up and talking to me. I have Tyler and Briley right by me. Choose your teams. No one's coming up. Sue does not come up. Jeff does not come up. Hannah, Ethan does not come up until it's like everybody is chosen. And then Ethan comes up to me. So it's either Ethan and Catey, island person Ethan, regular person Catey, or island person Tyler, regular person Briley. It's the same thing. Because Tyler was not leaving Briley. So either I choose Tyler and Briley, fulfilling my duty of someone from the island, or Ethan and Catey, fulfilling my duty from someone from the island. Now, people are really pissed because it wasn't Ethan, because I did talk him off the pole. Like, listen, bro, you've jumped off the pole. I'm sorry, you got to own it. You jumped off the pole. And I've self-eliminated for someone up from the island, which was Tyler. And yeah, Briley was there.
See, yeah, it's so interesting to hear from your point of view because, yeah, honestly, I didn't put it in my brain together too, where, yeah, you were with someone on the island, so you were keeping that promise. I think it was just like, I guess how it was edited and just showing Ethan's whole scenario, like when you were picking teams as to why it's like, oh, it looks like he just directly betrayed Ethan in that moment. So very interesting to hear. Also interesting to hear like the dynamics coming back and like what you just said about how everyone was talking very negative about you before you even returned, because as a viewer I was kind of confused, like why did everyone expect JC to win the island?
Yeah,
I feel like we just didn't have background on that. Yeah, it was just like confusing in a way. And then I think from JC's point of view, with him talking to literally everyone about you and like talking negatively about you, I think that was just a very strategic move on his part of being like, hey, now make this guy the villain because he has money, like that. And that was basically his like fight for as to why JC is a better person to be aligned with than you, I guess. But I feel like as a person, I don't know, obviously I wasn't there, but like going into cubes, I feel like in a sense I would directly come up to you because I'm like, odds are, like this guy will self-eliminate for me. So I'm going straight up to you and trying to get in your cube. I feel like that's how I would be in that scenario. But obviously relationships play a part in it. So
Yeah. And it's so interesting to hear that the rest of the people from the island didn't do that. Because even just watching the episode when you were saying that you would self-eliminate for them, if I was a contestant, I'd almost be annoyed that it's the whole group hearing that, because it'd be like, well, that means any of them could use his self-elimination, not just me. So yeah, that's surprising to hear that nobody was like trying to get on that, like, oh, let me be the one in the cube. Let me be the one that gets that.
Yeah, they honestly didn't. And you saw that. No one really talked to me until Ethan did. Then they gave him a chance to, put the dagger in and twist it at the end. Ethan, you have anything else you want to say? Yeah, Ian, you finally cracked. Guess what, buddy? You cracked the episode before. Like, okay. Like, and I don't say much. Like, what do you want me to say? My wife, she was like, why didn't you say anything there? I'm like, what's there to say? Like, I'm self-eliminating for someone on the island and someone that wasn't, or I can go over there with someone that's on the island and someone that wasn't. And she's like, yeah, you should have said that. I was like, what? I don't know.
Yeah. It's not like you could have self-eliminated for every single person from the islands. Like, what was another outcome besides that?
Yeah, before we go into the cubes itself, I do want to ask because, MrBeast came and offered JC $50K in exchange for the coin. If you were in that scenario, you got second place, had the coin, would you take the bribe or would you want to use the coin as leverage?
I would have countered
in the game.
I would have countered it right there. Say, I'm at 5 million, you're at 50K, let's split the difference and I'll take it. And then he would have said, that's 2.5 million. I'd be like, yep. And he'd be like, how about 1.5? I'd say, okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like counter. Then, and again, speaks to the game. This is a game with Jimmy. It's a game. And you want to know something? You can, well, maybe you can't really tell, but I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I have 1.8 million. I might offer him, 200 grand for the coin, and I was about to say something and then they kind of moved on. And honestly, then legal would have had to get involved. So I was like, whatever. I'll just let it sit. But again, it's always, it's the gameplay. I was always thinking about these little things and how do you not counter?
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, anything's possible on Beast games just because there isn't a set layout to the game. And knowing Jimmy, he would be the one to do it just to make it more entertaining, So
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Hindsight.
That would have been absolutely insane if that had ended up happening where you offered a JC. Like, that would have been a crazy dynamic.
Yeah, I think so. That would have been crazy.
Yeah. So going straight into cubes, we're going to talk about just your cube first and then just develop on everyone else that we saw. But right before, again, just going off the JC thing, right before you go into cubes, JC just straight up calls you a snake, which again just adds on to the fire
It's
that
comical.
He's trying to build around you. Yeah, absolutely.
It's comical.
And I also want your thoughts on with Catey and Ethan situation. Were those two just like left out, and that's why they ended up together? Like, did they just not have a team?
Exactly.
That's kind of unfortunate. That sucks.
It is. But then again, like you're in the cube with someone you don't care about, which is good.
Yeah.
Like, if I was going to move on to, it's interesting. Early on in the games, at one point, I had a conversation with Tyler and Briley, and I looked at them in the eyes and I said, do not go in that cube against me. Do not do the cubes against me. Again, we were speculating. I was like, if we have cubes, do not choose me because you will lose because I will not leave. Right. Because again, that's how heavy the burden was that I had to come home with something. So that was my number one goal. Bring something, and not just something like 100,000. It wasn't going to be enough. I got to bring home a big bag. And then number two was be Beast Games champion. So when I got the big bag, I'm like, okay. And it's almost like the burden lifted. Oh, I can just have fun. Like I accomplished it. And so that's why, like, when it came time for the cubes, I was like, yeah, cool. Let's do it. Like, I got it. I got my bag. Let's go.
Did the thought ever cross your mind of like, you know what, maybe I do want Ethan in my cube? Or was that just straight up no?
I would have been fine with Ethan in my cube. Had Jimmy from the second he says, hey, choose your people, and Ethan come up and said, Ian, I'm cashing in, I'd have been like, okay, bud, let's go. Who else are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just didn't happen like that. It wasn't that quick.
And so in the situation that you were in with Tyler and Briley, was there any chance that you would have tried to stay in the game, like by playing a game with them, or were you just set the whole time that you were going home?
I was set. I knew it was going to happen. I just wanted to have some fun before I left and eat some good food, So we play, actually, I'd say we had some of the best fun in our cubes out of anyone. You can see the wall behind me. We had 10 mini games. So who can, we set up these markers, who can knock down the most markers with a ball? I won. We like stacked the markers up, how like they can connect to each other and balance it. Who can balance the longest? I won. We got a Hot Wheels track, got the batteries in it. And so and mind you, Hot Wheels, right? Whose car, you pick a car and which car will go through the loop the most times without falling. I won. Then the Hot Wheel, who can scoot it on the floor and have it end closest to the wall on the other side. I won. So I was up 6. I had 6. Briley had 3. Briley is very physical. She won the handstand contest and she won the wall press contest, which was crazy. So she had 3 points. Ty had 1 point. I don't remember what he won. So I was going to win, but I was just having fun. And then that's why at the end, we're like, it'll be a winner take all, rock, paper, scissors, guys. Just make sure you choose paper. I got you. And yeah, we just had fun before I left.
I had the slight inkling of like, oh my gosh, he's gonna choose scissors and like you want to beat them out. I was like, that would be crazy if that actually happened. Especially after you were saying like, just make sure like you pick paper and I'll pick rock. Would have been so crazy.
Yeah, I've had a handful of people say that. It did not cross my mind. I was, it'd be like you two doing that to each other. Just,
Right.
Oh, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree.
But I read some Reddit stuff. People are like, you should have chose scissors and taken them out. That'd be
But
savage.
then regardless, it really would. But like regardless, someone would have to handcuff themselves, and then what would happen?
Right.
Like, oh, you fake them out, and then you're just sitting there like, okay, but who's gonna handcuff themselves? Like it just wouldn't have worked out well. I feel like.
Before we move on from blocks, is there anything you asked for that we didn't see, like in the show, or anything crazy?
We wanted puppies, but I think it was too hot, like the conditions, and we got started later. So I do know they did have animals there earlier on in the day, but due to like conditions, they were all released. So I wanted some puppies. I wanted sushi, but the sushi place was closed. So that was really it.
Dang. I got puppies in my block.
All I got in my block was pizza. But wait, yeah, what time did y'all film at? Because it was really late, right? Or did you start filming at least?
Yeah. Well, we started, you could see us on the basketball court and the sun's still up or like setting. So we had been filming from the second that we walked into the city with the deed to the end of Cubes. We were filming the whole time. So it was a long day, long night.
Oof. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's crazy.
So kind of opening up the conversation just to like an open discussion about the other cubes that kind of went on. Obviously, we want your opinion on everything, but first thing that I do want to point out is it was August, Nick and Vance cube. Obviously, we already got your intel on why Vance wasn't as liked as the other two, but yeah, as a viewer, again, we had no idea that it was like that because even in earlier episodes, Vance had a lot of screen time. So a lot of people, on Reddit were like, oh, this guy's winning. This guy's winning. So I think it was just like kind of confusing as a viewer where it's like, oh, people like this guy oh, wait, he got 5 votes. Like that was shocking to me, honestly.
The thing with Vance, he's a great kid, but I don't think he's as relatable. He's got $2 million. He's never had a job. And that was kind of like his connection with people or tried to, we'd be having a conversation and getting to know people, talk about sucky jobs. And he's like, I've never had a job, and I think he had a harder time relating to people than others.
And what did you think of like the way they did it, like asking 3 questions and just having everyone vote? Did you like that strategy coming from them?
I knew why they did it and I played into it. I gave Nick all 3 of my votes. So Nick's why spoke to me and it was similar to mine, so, he got my votes.
Yeah, I think that was a really interesting choice. And I feel like maybe Vance had I don't know. Maybe he didn't have an idea of how he was perceived by everyone else in the games, but I don't think I honestly would have rather left it up to chance than having like the other people in the game vote for me, unless I was like one of the most loved people on the game. Right. So I don't know. I just wouldn't want to put my game in someone else's hands. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I guess kind of leaning into, we see Jeff. I loved Jeff's line where he like called. He was like, we have an elimination. And then he's like, I'm sure you want to know after they asked who it was. I thought that was so funny.
You could see a different side of Jeff in that one.
Mm-hmm. I want to go into Jack, Sue, and Tyler's cue because that was actually crazy. I didn't expect that from Jack at all, especially how he's been portrayed in the show. So I don't know. I think that was really surprising. I don't know if I would have done that as the person I am, just because I wouldn't want to betray them like that. And I just wish I saw Sue's reaction when she watched the episode because I'm assuming that she didn't know until yesterday.
Right.
So,
that's what I was thinking.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
That one's really tough, especially because Sue is such a sweetheart. It was tough. And, I was with her after, and you see that in the BTS, and she was very broken up. She felt this was her chance to bring home something for her family. And that's tough. It's tough, being at her age and wanting to retire and not able to, So her dream is shattering. There is one rule to the cube is whoever handcuffs himself. So there's one rule to the hanging on to the get a grip, which is don't touch the sand. I guess there was more rules to the balance game. There's more rules to, the obstacle course. I could carry the stick, and people were pissed that I didn't carry the sticks. I think what you're seeing is kind of the evolution of Beast Games, and that you are going to start seeing some competitors coming in. I would not have switched um, the decks had I been in the cubes and not won anything yet. I would have made sure that I was playing a game that I could win. And Jimmy kind of talked about it. He's like, you play a game that speaks to your strengths. That's what I would have done. I would not have done chance, roll the dice, flip a card. No. We're here to play. We're not here for chance, right? But what you are starting to see is the gameplay be elevated and people doing whatever they got to do to win. That's what Jack did. That's what Tyler did, So I don't know.
And yeah, it's interesting. We talked to Kareem, one of the Habibi brothers, and how, like, in the bluff game, no one wanted to lie to each other. No one wanted to pull anything sneaky because they didn't want that reputation. But now we're at that point in the game where now it's top 13, it was top 20 or whatever at this point, and that's when you start to see people change, because the idea of winning $5 million becomes real. So it's like, okay, what do I have to do to ensure that I make it to top 13? And that's what Jack did. And I feel so bad for Sue, especially the fact that she didn't even know he did that. And she was like, oh, they're good guys. I'm glad that it's those two going forward. That's just, it's just so unfortunate. And I wonder, it was interesting also seeing Jack in the behind the scenes where he was like, I didn't really think about how I'm going to be portrayed on the show and how the public's going to perceive me, like right after he did that move. And so I'm interested. I think we're going to talk to him in the next few weeks, but I'm interested to hear his point of view of how he's taking that and how the internet is taking his move as well. Because essentially, look, I don't think you're a villain. I think you're a very strategic player, but you are the villain to be taken out. You're out, and now Jack is the new villain. That's what the internet's saying. So I'm very interested to see how his game plays out.
Yeah. I think that there's a difference just to, like, in what Jack did. Mind you, I love Jack. He's a great kid and a ball of energy, hilarious. I just gave a handful of examples of gameplay, and I did include his move as gameplay because it was within the rules, but that doesn't mean that my gameplay, that I would have done that in my gameplay. That was cheating in a game versus being strategic in a game and using relationships that I'd built to persuade people to make decisions. That's, in my mind, that's Survivor, man. That's all within the rules. So again, I'm speaking to the gameplay of Beast Games is elevated, and I think you had a lot of people earlier on in the season that weren't really game players. I'm not trying to dog any of my other competitors, but to be a game player, to be competitive, to not just like, man, I hope I win money, but I'm going to do everything I can to bring home money. I think there's a bit of a difference. And so you're now getting into the pointy end of the stick with a bunch of game players in the game, and game on.
And I think it's interesting too, the Jack thing, because it's low-key what happened with the Habibi brothers in season 1. So yeah, definitely interested to see how that all plays out with him now as the villain of the season.
Yeah, before I went on season 2, saw season 1, I saw a lot of the stuff with the Habibi brothers, and I think that they were ahead of their time with the season. Right. I think that it was gameplay. Now, do I agree with, like, while she's crying and, behind her back, making faces at the camera? No. I mean, they're turning up the theater for the show, but that strategy to even look at the current situation with Monika not having to play a game, right? Like, isn't that crazy? Now, the cliffhanger, we have JC saying, okay, well, I'll give her the coin if you switch me. That's a big move too. So you're seeing a lot of these big plays. Tell me all the big plays you saw in season 1, right?
Right. So, and that's what, in that scenario, we had a scenario in season 1, like comparing Jim, JC, Monika's scenario. There was a person that we know, I think she's talked about it publicly, but it was Cornelia, and she was in there with 2 guys, and they were like, we're sending Corn through 100%. It's just me against you. So there was that scenario in season 1. It just wasn't highlighted as much as JC, Jim, and Monika. Obviously, that has to do with how many people are left at this point. But yeah, really interesting to see JC kind of just pushed Monika through. I honestly just think she's a very likable person. And with Jim also in JC's ear, like I'll do anything for Monika. I'm putting Monika before my own game, which is a very risky move, if I'm going to be honest. Like, obviously, in love, they're a couple, but you were originally there to win $5 million. So it's interesting to see you put someone before yourself in this type of game. I don't know. But yeah, talking about that cube a little bit, did you like the game that JC and Jim ended up playing? Because it was chance, ultimately.
No, I didn't. And I thought it was like a game that was dragging on. I don't know. Yeah, it's chance. It's 52 cards and you pick one and I pick one. It was smart for TV because now we have to have a whole segment and draw it on. We have to play it all. I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was a boring answer. No is the answer.
No, you're good. It was fun to watch with the edit, but just thinking about how long it takes to get to the ending of it, as Monika, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I just want it to be over. Like, can't we just pick one card and for it to be over instead of going through the entire deck?
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, we also see that Jim gets pretty emotional hugging JC after Jim ends up winning, which I knew they had a relationship in the game. I just didn't know they were that close to where Jim would be that upset. Did it feel like that they were always that close in the game from your point of view, at least? Okay.
No. I'll just say no.
Interesting.
I just feel like we didn't really see that at all. But yeah, definitely interesting to watch. Left us on a cliffhanger. I guess, is there anything else from episode 5 that maybe you want to touch on that we haven't discussed already before we do some closing questions and wrap up here?
No, I mean, I guess the summary is I had a great time in the cube. I knew that my time was coming to an end. So it was a interesting dynamic with Ty and Briley. It was kind of our goodbyes and, let's have some fun. Let's eat some good food. And yeah, no, I loved it. And, I appreciate those two.
So gotta ask, do you have any regrets from the game?
Good question. No regrets. I mean, everything happens for a reason. I wish that I connected with JT, Corey, sooner. I tried to talk to as many people as I could, and I didn't get a chance to really connect with them. I had conversations, Brett and Corey, great guys. I should have spent a little bit more time earlier on with them. I think, Brett and Corey have a good head on their shoulders. So when I'm in the island and I come back, I don't think it would have been, as intense towards me had I had a better relationship with those two because they were influential.
Yeah, and I'm also wondering, like, when you were eliminated back then, who were you rooting for most to win? I think I'm going to know the answer, but who were you rooting for? And was there anyone that you didn't want to win? Maybe some tea there.
I'll just say that I was rooting for the two in my cube.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's what I figured you were going to say, but hey, you never know. You never know.
And now, having experienced what you experienced, do you have any advice for future reality TV show competitors?
I did a lot of homework before I went on the show. I watched everything I could on season 1, every video online about people talking about season 1, what to expect. So you got to expect the unexpected because a lot of things that happened, again, the game changed. It wasn't chance. So it's a long time. So you just got to mentally be prepared to be in your own thoughts, and you're a loner, even though you're next to people. Do they actually care about you? I don't know.
Yeah. Is there any other reality shows that you would want to be on?
I mean, obviously Survivor. A lot of people are like, oh, you're a shoo-in for Survivor. Well, I don't think you really understand Survivor. And no one's a shoo-in, and they have, hundreds of thousands of people submit every year. And I mean, argument could be said, well, now Ian's already done it. He's experienced it, so we're not going to do it. So, I think that Beast Games will be going on for years and years. And I think they'll do, heroes versus villains. And I think that they'll do all-stars. And I think that they'll do, a whole bunch of great fun things in the future. And I'm very blessed that a lot of my time on the show was aired. And so ideally I get more opportunities in the future there.
Yeah, we'd love to see you on Survivor or Beast Games. Heroes versus villains would go crazy. So hope that happens.
Would I be a hero or a villain?
Ooh, that's a good question. Good question.
It's not really a good question. Everyone's going to say villain, but if you actually pull back and look at what I did, like what was villainous,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Game
Yeah.
Changers. Have it
Yeah,
called
Game
Game Changers.
Changers.
No.
That'd be good. That'd be good. Ian, it was so great having you on. We loved getting to talk with you. So thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate you having me.
Do you want to shout out anything that you have coming up, or maybe just shout out your socials, whatever you want the people to know, I guess?
Yeah, you can find me on everything: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, DJ iWeb, not DJ Web. It's DJ iWeb, Ian Weber.
There we go.
Go follow him. Thanks so much for listening. And thank you, Ian, for coming on. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, and watch some of our BTS content in the meantime. But until next time.
See ya.